Council meeting, March 5th, 2020, and I do want to apologize for a late start. We had a special meeting we had to finish up some business with. So, again, I appreciate your patience. In addition, I want you all to know that this will be our first meeting that we're actually going to live stream. And keep in mind that this is a work in progress. We're going to do our best to make sure everything's clear, concise, that we've got a good filming on it. But certainly, like I said, I'm sure there's going to be room for improvements going forward. So, again, we appreciate your patience. So we will now bring our meeting to order. And as I've mentioned before, each month we kind of assign a different council member to be in charge of the opening for our council meeting. This month it's Councilman Fitzpatrick, so I'm going to turn the time over to her to proceed. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'm in charge of the pledge and the prayer. I'm sorry I didn't know about this till last night, so you guys are all safe this week. I'll go ahead and do both. So I'm going to start with the Pledge of Allegiance and ask that you please stand and follow after me.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Our Father in heaven, we are thankful this evening to be able to assemble in this legislative process. We are so grateful for the freedoms that this country provides us and for our ability to have a say in our lives. We're grateful for this great city and for all the employees that work here, and we ask you to bless them and to especially bless those in our police and fire that daily protect our lives, and please watch over them and their families. We're grateful for this process that we have to be able to determine the best direction for the city. We're grateful for the opportunity that we have as council members to listen and to be guided to make the best decisions. We ask you to bless this meeting tonight, too, with civility and peace, and that all may go well here, and ask for this in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Thank you, Ms. Fitzpatrick. Time rolling off. Okay, at this time I'd entertain any type of municipal event announcements. Mr. Thomas, do you have anything about?
The only thing I can think of is on the 16th is the library night, and that's where there'll be many council members and others that will be reading to the children. It's a fun night, and it starts about 6 o'clock, so come and enjoy.
And if you go the 16th, Dave's going to be there by himself. The rest of us are coming the 13th.
Oh, well, that's good. That's good. I'd much prefer to read by myself than to read in front of others. So it's on the 13th?
It's on the 13th, yes.
Okay.
And it's on the roaring
That'll
20s.
Work.
So it'll be
That's why we have 5 council members.
Okay. Anybody else have any comments they'd like to public announcements here?
Just one, and just brought it up last time, but April 1st is the census date. You should start receiving your postcards in the mail next week that will give you the online site to go on and to be able to start to fill the census out. We really encourage every family member needs to be accounted for, because a lot of this is how we get our money for programs and stuff. So please take the time to do that.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, with that, now we'll move on. Tonight we do not have any verbal petitions or presentations, so I'd like to move on to our public comment section. This is where the citizens can get up and give us their comments. We prefer that you kind of keep your comments brief and to the point, but certainly the time is now yours if you'd like to step up to either side of the mic please keep in mind that we need you to state your name and your address for our recorder.
Okay, my name is Kelly Morse. My address is 1092 East 255 South in Layton, obviously. And so we are coming. We have just been visited by code enforcement about having some ducks on our property. And so we acquired the ducks. One, there are ducks within like blocks of the property because there's naturally occurring streams, creeks, things like that. But so one wandered into our yard and was orphaned. So we kept it and raised it because it would have died on its own. And we collected some other ducks because they're not supposed to be by their own and because they're adorable and we love them. It's been about probably 2 years since we've had them. And so now we are being visited by code and being made aware that it's not within our zoning to be able to have ducks on the property. But as I'm looking at the zoning requirements for my property for the zone that we're in, which I think is an R18, I could be butchering that, that they're allowed to have 6 chickens. So we have 6 ducks. And so my argument is that I would like to be able to be allowed to do that, whether there's some sort of variation, some sort of permit, or a different rezoning to allow for the domestic ducks on the property. Because as I look at them, they're similar in size. It's not like a turkey or something that's large. They're very docile. They're calm. We have them to lay eggs. They perform a similar function. These ones they're a larger breed, so they're a meat bird. They don't fly. They can't go anywhere outside of a penned area unless we let them out. And so that's my argument, is that we're looking at it going, these are pets that we've had for a while. They've not been a problem. It's recently a problem because the neighbor didn't want them in their yard, which we talked to before, but they didn't let us know that they wanted them not wandering because the rest of the neighbors love it, and little kids love it. Everybody likes it. And so we can keep them in a more penned area, which is the requirement for the chickens. And we have a penned area. We had just been giving them more freedom because we didn't understand it to be an issue. So that's what we're asking, is to see if there is a legal way that we can be allowed to keep our pets.
Okay. We appreciate your comments, and we'll certainly keep that in mind. However, if you do want to try to change our code, then there is a process you'll have to go through.
Right.
So. Who would we come in and talk to about that? Could we come in and sit down in front of someone and talk to them and see what steps we need to take?
Hang on one second.
Uh-huh.
Yes, we spoke on the phone earlier today, and
okay.
Yes. Be happy to be with you. We talked about setting up a time whenever it's convenient for you. Yep.
And if I understand that these are the individuals that will be deciding on that if we do legal paperwork, or how does that?
So the way to change the code, you could apply for what they call an ordinance text amendment. By the way, I'm Chad Wilkinson. I'm the Community Development Director. You could apply for an ordinance text amendment that goes to the Planning Commission for a recommendation, and then the City Council is the legislative body that would approve or disapprove that request to change.
Well, we'll be in contact with them.
Yeah, happy to meet with you. Yep.
Thank you for your time.
Okay. Thank you.
It's a question for Gary, maybe. So in that process, they'll have a little bit of leeway on till that goes through the process as far as the ducks they have now.
Sure. Yeah. If you let us know, we've got their names, and so we'll go ahead and take that into consideration if they start that process.
My name is DeLos Connor, 395 Church, and I just wanted to come and thank you as a representative of Troop 1011 and Layton High's Latinos in Action. I can also speak for the Layton Elementary School principal and for, I think, our entire community. We presented last time a need for some bushes to be removed, and to our surprise and delight, they were removed to perfection. The road is much better. I think if you drive over it, you'll see the safety. I, too, love and appreciate our police and firemen who do so much to keep us safe. But you can tell whoever trimmed those bushes that they're also our hero, as are all of you. So I just wanted to come tonight and, on behalf of all those people and many more, tell you thank you.
You're welcome as a city staff, so we thank them. But, this is the purpose of citizen comments, is to come and provide us with information that we might not know. So thank you for your willingness to step forward and share that information so we could make the city safer.
And I have a bunch of Boy Scouts who now know it works, and a bunch of Latinos in action who are very happy to be Americans. So thank you very much. Good night.
Thank you.
Spencer Hatlock, 565 Sherwood Drive. Mayor, City Council members, I visited the council late July of 2019 to address my neighbor's excess of dogs. Some of you may remember my concern. Mayor Petro, if I remember correctly, you and I talked briefly after. Dave Thomas, who is seated as a resident, made a humorous comment of, if I get elected, I can help you with that. And finally, Alex Jensen stated, the code specifies how many animals we can have in our homes, and that's the law. If there are too many dogs in a home, then they're in violation of the ordinance, and that needs to be enforced. For those of the council who are not here, I reported my neighbor's 6 adult dogs and 3 puppies, animal control's poor response, and the lack of support and protection I received as a Layton State resident. Since that report, which was on the 18th of July 2019, now almost 8 months later, my neighbor's dog situation seems unchanged. On Tuesday, I counted 5 adult dogs barking at my wife, children, and self. Animal control has been terrible to work with. It did not do anything with the evidence that I supplied them with, and I lost trust in animal control's ability to follow its own county code. I do not trust animal control to protect Layton City residents. I have felt more confident in the city attorney's office and have provided more evidence to them and even reported animals on the loose along with evidence of such only to the attorney's office. While I've worked with the city attorney's office, I do not feel that the matter is being addressed within a timely manner. At the amount of dogs at large that we have had in the past year, I'm afraid that my kids will be attacked before city and county are willing to address my claims. Not only are my neighbors in violation of municipal code, but as employees of the city, they are in violation of the city personnel manual. The measures of misconduct which have been violated from the city policy manual are 3501, 3801 1M, 380110. Past my neighbor's excess of dogs, their dishonesty, dogs on the loose in my yard, and employment by the city, my neighbors have a hometown hero sign displayed proudly in their front lawn, and that frustrates me. I believe that my neighbors' actions meet the misconduct standards within the disciplinary action of the city personnel manual. Alex Jensen, I trust that you'll address these claims and verify those. Mayor Petro and City Council members, will you please help me?
We appreciate your comments. Do you have more?
That's for what I had in the comments.
Okay. Definitely we'll take some action here, and I appreciate you circling back around with us.
Thank you. I plan on following up. Thank you.
Thanks very much. Okay. Are there any other comments here? Okay, being that there's no more citizens' comments, I'll go ahead and move on to our consent items. We have 3 items on the list this evening. Our first one will be presented by our Economic Development Director, Chad Wilkinson.
Thank you, Mayor, Council. I'll be very brief. With Councilman Morris's election to the City Council, there has been a vacancy created in our Planning Commission. The mayor has gone through a process to interview a number of applicants. We had around 10 applicants apply for the vacant position. Of those, 2 were interviewed by the mayor, members of our council, and members of our city staff. After those interviews, there's been a recommendation by the mayor to appoint our currently serving Tyson Roberts, who's currently serving as an alternate member of the Planning Commission, to serve as a full member of the Planning Commission, and Mr. Chris Crowder to begin serving as an alternate member of the Planning Commission. Happy to answer any questions if I can. We would recommend that you approve Resolution 20-17, making those appointments.
Any questions?
So was Tyson's term due to expire July 1st of this year then?
No.
I was just curious why Chris is only until July of this year. Who is he filling an alternate position for that would have been up at this point? I
had recollected that was next. What does it say? 2020? I recollected that was 2021.
That Tyson's would be through July 1st of 2021, but Chris's would only be through July 1 of 2020.
Okay, that I'd have to verify that. That could be accurate, but there was Tyson was also filling another alternate position that had a term, and I thought that was 2021, but I'd have to verify that.
Okay, I was just curious. That was kind of short. So.
Yep.
Okay.
I want to acknowledge that Tyson is in the audience. Tyson, thank you for being here. And in addition to that, I know Mr. Crowder wanted to be here. He did send me a text. He has come down with the flu, but if you wouldn't mind, I'll go ahead and read his comment here. He says, I want everyone to know that I will take this serious, and I'm excited and appreciative for the chance to serve the city. With that, Mr. Day.
So, yeah, as we pass this then, Chad, we'll pass it with with Don's question resolved, whatever date it is to.
You know, it's to whatever date is left in that term, yeah, and I apologize for that confusion. Yeah, I thought that was 2021, but it very well could be 2020, but we'll resolve that.
We reviewed those pretty extensively with Tim that day we interviewed him, and I'm pretty sure that it's not this one, this July.
I'm pretty sure as well, so that may have just been a misprint in the staff report.
I think so. Okay.
Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Wilkins. Item number B will be handled by our city attorney, Gary Crane.
Thank you, Mayor and members of the council. Item number B is Okay. Item number B is the interlocal agreement. I was just making sure it was B. It's the interlocal agreement. Resolution 20-16. Every year we have a review by Davis County Animal Control of the number of calls for all the cities in Davis County. Sad we have to talk about animal control after the comments that were made, but the bill this year has gone up. Animal control fees are determined by the percentage based on population that each city has of the number of total calls during a year. The total calls, it looks like last year went up about 1% is what it looks like. And then there's also a component, a capital improvement component that the cities agreed to cover 50% of. And then there's the costs, the actual costs. And the biggest cost increase was, you can almost estimate what it would be, and that's personnel. They've been short on personnel, and so they're looking forward this next year to acquiring additional personnel to maybe take care of the types of situations that Spencer was talking about. And by the way, we are still working on that. The city attorney's office is, and we're processing that for charges. One of my attorneys is working with you on that. I know you haven't heard back in a while because it takes a while to gather the information from animal control on a situation like that, but we are working on it. This year's contract, it varies from last year's contract about $60,000. It's an increase of $60,000 to the city for the services that animal control actually has rendered. And all we do is we amend each year that provision, that portion of the code that actually deals with the increase in revenues, because the services are the same. Not the increase in revenues, but an increase in costs, because the remainder of the contract is the same. And so with that, we'd recommend that we go ahead and approve it, and we will certainly chat with them about providing service that's better
customer
than what
service
we've had in the past. Yeah.
Thank you. Okay. Council, any questions?
Yeah, I got a question. Are there other cities involved in this?
Yes. All the cities in Davis County.
Yeah, they're all involved.
All of them.
Mm-hmm.
I think, I can't remember.
We're getting charged according to what? Population, I assume.
According to the number of calls.
Calls?
Call volume. And Layton's the biggest city in Davis County,
Right.
and so that's the reason we take the brunt of it. About 28% of the calls come to Layton.
And the variables in the nuisance animal calls too.
Yes.
That's where the costs kind of escalate a little bit.
Okay.
What do we have I mean, the gentleman that just has had this problem for quite a long time. What's our remedy to the? I mean, this is just bad timing, I guess, for Davis County. But I mean, we just hope that they do better.
No, actually, we will actually take them to court over the number of animals. He's actually submitted video. Submitted video of the dogs, the number of dogs, on repeated occasions. You're allowed to have up to 2 dogs in the home, and then you can have puppies until they're a certain age. And these folks have claimed, and the animal control has looked at it as a puppy mill, essentially, and wanted to actually go with a charge of their puppy milling. They're producing these for profit. And so they were investigating. That was what they indicated to begin with. They're our investigating agency. We don't do any of the investigation ourselves, but they do the investigating. They turn in the documents. They turn in the video. I've got to tell you that this young man has turned in better video. Being there every day, he's turned in accurate video and better video to our office to enable us to be able to take steps in enforcing. And so the next step for us would be to file charges and against these individuals, and to have a judge order them to get rid of the dogs. And
is it
to
typical discussions between the city and the animal control? Do you typically have these kinds of situations where he's had to go so long and hasn't really felt like the county has been really paying attention to his issues? Is that typical, or
not typical? They handle the vicious animals, the things that are immediate urgency, because they do have a dearth of employees. I mean, it's you call and the service is not next day or instantly, unless it's that type of an incident that occurs. We have talked to them about this. We've talked to the director about this. I think Alex has been in communication with them as well, because we're not satisfied with the amount of service that they give us. And I think that's the reason for the increase that you'll see for the increase in the number of employees.
Yeah,
I think
that was the irony of it, is that we want more personnel, but I hope that they get better service for the residents, as Layton City's picking up most of the tab.
You're correct, and we actually do the prosecution as well, and we prosecute it as soon as we get enough evidence to do that. So, and we believe in this case we've got adequate evidence to do it. So, we'll proceed forward, and we'll give you a report, let you know what happens as well.
I do have a question, Gary. So on the capital improvement, we had the opportunity to tour the facility, and it is in desperate need of capital improvement. But if the cities are doing 50%, are we based on population again? How do the cities how are they assessed in that 50%?
So that 50% is covered by the county, and then 50% is divided amongst the cities. So we're paying 27% of 50% is essentially what we're paying.
Okay, and it's based on population then. Okay.
On number of calls.
Number of calls.
Okay. Any other questions? Okay. Let's go ahead and move on to item number C, which is a bid award for Think Architect. This is an exciting one to have presented to us tonight. This will be presented by Chief Ward, and it's in regards to the new fire station.
Thank you, Mayor, Council. You have before you Resolution 20-06. This is the bid award for architectural and engineering services for Fire Station 4, also known as Fire Station 54, in the countywide numbering system. This resolution authorizes the execution of the agreement between Layton City and Think Architecture for design of the fire station. Will be located at approximately 1300 North Valley View Drive on land that on the last council meeting we kind of finalized that with UDOT that we had been dealing with a matter of having to move the lot lines a few feet here and there. This fire station, as you know, will be located on the east side of the city, just east of Highway 89, right near the proposed interchange for Highway 89 and Gordon. This will significantly improve our response times to the southeast part of the city. Right now we have a gap in our ability to provide timely service up there. Having a station up there is going to benefit the residents in the area for both emergency medical services and fire service capacity citywide, not just in the area right there. The design for the station is is a 3-bay station that's approximately 10,000 square feet. It will serve well into the future. That's our design. Our plan is to have this building be there for quite a long time and build it so that it's for the future for staffing needs and for apparatus needs and different equipment. Initial plan would be to house a fire station there. Is also to move one of the ambulances that we currently staff due to call volume from Fire Station 1 out west and move that ambulance up to Station 4 up there. We did receive 8 bids from eight different firms. The lowest responsive bid was Think Architecture at $144,550. I apologize. With the change to the live stream, our ability to project has apparently been altered. Currently, we weren't quite ready for this. So in your packet, you have some slides up there. And what I can do for those that would like to see this is we can take this PowerPoint presentation and we can have it put on our city website, under the fire department there, or on the homepage wherever you would desire, and people could click on a link there and be able to see some of the pictures that we have on there. One of the things that we do have on there is a project schedule. The construction time frame is anywhere from about 8 to 12 months. And so in the future, if you approve this tonight to move forward with the architecture and engineering services, we'll then be looking at moving forward with going out to bid for a builder, a construction company, and construction manager for that project. We do have in the audience tonight Scott Wilkinson from Think Architecture. Mr. Wilkinson has worked very well with us and very well with the city on other projects in the past. We know him very well. He is, again, the principal architect in the firm, and he was actually, for some of our design, as I mentioned previously, for our time for Station 4 informational meetings that we had to have some kind of a design to have people look at to see what basically we were looking at in terms of fire station. So Mr. Wilkinson was put that together for us. So if you have any questions for either me or for Mr. Wilkinson, we'd be glad to answer those.
Council, any questions?
Yes, sure. Just maybe for Think Architecture, any other municipal buildings or fire stations that we could maybe take a look at in the interim?
That they built at other locations. They have had buildings that they built in the city here, but currently, correct me if I'm wrong, but the most current project is Murray Fire Station 81, which is actually a headquarters station, which won't look anything like the station we're building. It's about 23,500 square feet, but it is. I've seen renditions of it. It's scheduled to open in the next couple of weeks, I believe. I'm looking forward to going down to the grand opening of that. But that just kind of shows some of the great work that Think Architecture and Mr. Wilkinson has done in the past. And if you could speak to maybe other facilities that you've done the design for.
We listed a number of
Maybe just in support of that question, Council Member, Mr. Wilson was a principal at the time in the firm that designed and project managed this facility that we're sitting in tonight, as well as he said, 2 stations here in Layton, Station 51 out on 2200 West and Station 52 that's up on Church. His firm, again, under a different title at that point in time, Mr. Wilkinson was one of the principals of that firm. Yes, we have a lot of experience with him and his firm.
Very good.
Staff would recommend council adopt Resolution 20-06 to award the bid to Think Architecture and authorize the city manager to execute the agreement for Fire Station 54 architectural engineering design.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Appreciate your support. Thank you.
Okay. Council, that wraps up our consent items as presented, so I would entertain a motion.
Madam Mayor, I move that we approve the consent items presented this evening, Resolution 2017, Item B, Resolution 2016, and Item C, Resolution 20-06.
Second. Okay, it's been moved in second. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, that's unanimous. Okay. Do we have any unfinished business anybody would like to bring before me? Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion then to close our council meeting for this evening.
So moved.
Okay.
I'll second.
Thank you very much. We appreciate those that are in the audience, and also to our staff for our live stream. All in favor of closing this meeting? Aye.